Hi, everybody. We're so happy to be here. My name is Sarah FitzHenry. I'm the Learning and Community Manager for Birdbrain Technologies. And before I worked for Birdbrain, I was a school librarian and a technology coordinator for 10 years. And I am here with...
I'm Jen Norton, and I'm the product coach for Birdbrain Technologies. I currently handle curriculum integration and tech support. But before I worked at Birdbrain, I taught math and computer science at the high school level for 11 and a half years.
So as you're listening and we're talking to you about the Finch robot, you might notice these women kind of sound like teachers. It's because we are teachers with more than a decade of experience in the classroom each, and our expertise covers grades pre-K through 12. So we will be talking to you like teachers because we are teachers. And today we are going to be introducing you to the Finch robot and telling you all about how to get started. And if you're like me and you like to follow along with the slides, go ahead and scan this QR code and it will take you to the slideshow and you can click on all of the links yourself. All right, so we are so excited to be introducing you to the Finch Robot 2.0 today. And we believe that the best way to get to know your Finch is to get your hands on it. So we are going to jump right in and talk you through while you are getting hands on. Let's use this video to unbox our Finch blocks. Hi, I'm Sarah with Birdbrain Technologies, and I'm here to show you the Finch Robot Classroom Flock. Let's jump right in. The Finch robot is a programmable robot that brings computer science to life by providing students from kindergarten to college with a hands-on representation of their code. All of Birdbrain's products are designed to be used in classrooms, and educators are involved every step of the way. The Finch robot was designed with 10 years of feedback from teachers working with robotics in their classrooms. The Finch Flock is a classroom pack of 5 Finch robots inside this convenient carrying case. With 5 robots inside, the Finch Classroom Flock is designed to serve 5 to 10 students. The case's padded interior has specific space for each robot, as well as all of the accessories you need to bring creative robotics into your classroom. Let's take a look at the accessories. The Finch Classroom Flock comes with a set of 5 markers that are the perfect fit for the robot's marker holder. You'll also find 5 USB cords, 1 for each robot, and a USB charging hub that can charge all 5 at once. This USB hub is especially convenient because it reveals the charging status for each individual robot on its display, so you'll never have to wonder how much battery your robot has again. This little hub also provides protection for your Finch robot from overcharging, short circuits, overheating, and more. Each Finch in the flock comes with its own soft storage pouch and user guide, and can come with a microbit if you choose that option for your order. The flock allows you to easily take your Finch robots with you so deep and joyful learning can follow wherever you go. If you're interested in learning more about the Finch robot, please head over to watch our Finch robot unboxing video. It provides details on the Finch and its accessories and includes steps to get started. We are going to give you those steps to get started now, but before we start doing that, let's zoom out a little bit and talk about what is a robot. I know Jen has the answer to that question.
Yes. All right. So we're going to get started with a fun little activity, and we're going to talk about the 3 main components of a robot. So you'll see here that I have our Sense, Think, Act board. What this means is that robots will sense their environment. They take a look at the world around them and kind of see what's going on. Based on the information they get, they process that, they think about it. What did you tell the robot to do with that information? And then from there, your Finch is going to act. It's going to behave in a way that is related to the sensor that you set. So this is going to be kind of the output. What is happening with your Finch? And over here on the right, we have some components for Finch. We have the light sensor, line tracking, the 5x5 LED array, the beacon tail LEDs, compass, wheel encoders, accelerometer, the AE buttons, the buzzer, the wheels, and the distance sensor. So what we'd like for you to do is these components belong in either sense or act. So we encourage you to pause and think about, where do these components go? Don't worry, we'll still be here when you hit play.
Okay, hopefully if you are listening now, it is on purpose. You have in your mind, or maybe on a piece of paper, arranged these components into sense or act. Before we start working through them, this is an activity I love to do with my students, because a robot as something that sense, thinks, and acts, that's how I explain things to my students from kindergarten all the way up. So I love to put the components on the board like this and have them sort. It gets them really thinking about the inputs and the outputs, the different things that their robots can do, and the ways that they can get them to sense, think, and act. So if this is an activity that you like, it's something that you can use in your classroom. Okay, should we start?
Yes, let's go ahead and sort these.
I've got my eye on that top light sensor, and that has the word sense in it. So that makes me think that that one goes in the sense category.
That is correct. The light sensor will determine how bright or how dark it is around your finch. So it's taking in that information, the light in the room. You're right. Okay. Another sensor, let's see. Let's do the wheel encoders. The wheel encoders, I will show you these. You will see the little teal 2 lines, or the 1 orange line. These are tracking how far or how many times the wheel has turned. So 1 rotation would be all the way around 360 degrees. So your wheel encoders are tracking how many turns the wheel has done, and it's going to use that information in your code.
That one's
Sarah,
tricky because it doesn't have sensor in it. And that one's tricky.
No, it doesn't.
I'm looking at the beak and tail LEDs. What I know about an LED is that an LED is a form of light. And I'm thinking that light is something that acts instead of sensing.
Yes, so where the light sensor takes in the light around it, the LED is actually going to be an action that your finch can do. It can light up on the tail and the beak, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Not only can your finch light up, it can play sounds with its buzzer. So the buzzer is going to make a tone that emits from your finch. So that is an action. It is something that your finch can do.
While I'm on my LEDs, I see an LED array. And if the beak and tail LEDs are outputs, if that's something that can act, then the LED array must be something that can act too.
That is 100% correct. And the 5x5 LED that we're talking about is right here on the microbit, these LEDs right here. They're great because you can make smiley faces, hearts, whatever you like. All right, let's take a look. All right, what would be another sensor, do you think, Sarah?
The distance sensor.
Yes, the distance sensor. I didn't write that word, but it is there. And you can see the shape that I drew. That is the distance sensor here, and it will tell how far something is away. If I'm getting too close, you know, maybe social distancing, I can make it my finch read that information and sense it. Another thing that is a sensor would be our A/B buttons. And while our other information is kind of like how much light or how many turns or how far away, this is simply, am I pushing a button on the microbit? So that would be our A or B button.
Different kind of data, a kind of true or false data instead of giving you the number. Let's see. Although the encoders on the wheels go in the sense category, the wheels themselves, I think, go in the act category because that's how we get the robot to move.
That's right. So we have lighting up, we have making noise, and we have movement right here in our actions. And I'll go ahead and give you a hint. The rest of these are our sensor. So the accelerometer will tell where the finch is in its world. So the X, Y, and Z axis. Is it beak up? Is it turning to the right, turning to the left? Is it completely upside down? So we've got that sensing in its environment. And just like the accelerometer, the compass will tell me, am I pointing north, south, east, or west? Right? And then our last one is our line tracker. So on the bottom of Finch, right next to the power button, you're going to see these 2 black bubbles. That is our line tracker. So it will follow a black line on the floor and move its way and follow that path that you've drawn. You can use masking tape or black marker. But it is sensing that line, and then it's going to act with its wheels and follow along that trail.
Hopefully, what
right.
you worked on, your sensing and acting list matched ours. Let's show you another way to look at those inputs and outputs. Here we can see all of the Finch's inputs and outputs all in one place. Let's go through them really quickly. They should look familiar to you. Here are outputs. We have our wheels, our beak and tail LEDs, and the LED array in the microbit that we talked about. We have the buzzer in the Finch's body, the marker holder, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, and the plastic brick adapter at the top, which will fit Lego pieces. And then moving over to the inputs, we have the wheel encoders, those 2 teal lines or that 1 orange line that Jen showed us, the line tracking sensors on the bottom of the robot next to the power button. We have the distance sensor in the front, those light sensors in the Finch's body, and then up here in the microbit, the compass, the accelerometer, and the buttons. Not all robots use these same inputs and outputs to sense, think, and act, but these are all the inputs and outputs that you will find on your Finch robot. There's so much to learn about Finch that we actually can't cover it all here, or we would be here all day, but we are going to tell you some of the things that you need to know before you get started. So the Finch can work with multiple programming languages and with multiple different types of programming languages. Here you can see there's icon-based, block-based, and text-based programming. Jen, can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Yes, so the icon base is our recommendation for Arcade to do. So there's no text, no words on the screen. It's simple images or icons that your students can follow along. This is great for your pre-readers or your reluctant readers program. In our block-based programming, it kind of ups the scale a little bit. This time, we've included words that students are reading and understanding, where they're filling in their own numbers. For example, in the block-based language, the Finch beak has a red, a green, and a blue. The students can play with those numbers to see what kind of lights I can create by filling in different values. Then when your students are ready for a challenge, we have text-based programming. So this is an example of Python, but we also have Java for text-based programming. So this wonderful little robot is great all the way from kindergarten to college. Now I'm going to show you a little bit more about Finch. So we talked about the sense, the think, and the act, but we didn't put anything in the think category. I'm going to grab this. So we had our sense and our act, but what is making a robot think? And that is this wonderful little microbit. This is the brain of your Finch robot. And it goes right here inside of the tail, just like that. Now, when we're talking about your robot, we have 2 different ports, and sometimes it can get a little confusing. So let's talk about each port. This port right here is for charging, if I can get it in the middle of the camera. This port right here is for charging. This is the body of the Finch, and you can notice this is where the battery sits. So you want to make sure that you are plugged in right there when you're charging. Now, in the case of some programming languages like Make Code, you'll need to download your program via USB cable. That's going to go here into the brain of your Finch, into the microbit. So remember, downloading code goes to the microbit brain. Charging goes right here into the battery, into the body of the Finch. Now, there's a couple other things that we can do with Finch that we didn't talk about previously. First off, let's talk about our marker holder. So let's pull this out. You'll probably have one of these right in the middle. Set that aside. And then here's our wonderful little marker. You will get 5 of these in your Finch flock. You can put it right in here. Let's take a look at the underside. Can you see that okay?
I can, yeah.
So you can see that just the tip of that marker is peeking out just a little bit. Put this down, you make the fish move, it will draw shapes with its marker. Yeah. So that was one of our inputs that we didn't talk about. Something else that you can use are the plastic brick adapters. So this right here Comes from one of our lessons called Finch jousting. This is my version of a jousting stick. And Finch can carry that right on top. So there we go. Finch can hold the jousting stick, and now I can program Finch to move and to go jousting with this stick.
I kind of want to joust against you, Jen, because when it comes to the jousting stick, I'm a popsicle stick, fork rubber band girl, and I want to see whether my popsicle stick and fork jousting stick can beat your Lego jousting stick.
We're gonna be... you're probably going to beat me with enough tape. I like Legos just because if I make a mistake, it's quick to fix.
Yeah.
I can put another layer if it's too short. I can take things away if it's too tall. But everyone has their own personal preference, and that's what's great about it, is that creativity that you can allow your students to go, look at the world around you, build a jousting stick, and let them go crazy. Believe it or not, the Finch is actually, you could write on it with dry erase markers. So if you want to name your Finch, which we will talk about in just a moment, you can use dry erase markers to write on your Finch, and then it wipes clean. This is just a baby wipe, or you can use a wet paper towel, and it comes right off. So now that we've learned the basics of our Finch, let's go ahead and get it powered on. So if you flip your Finch upside down, you will see this big black circle. We're going to push and hold that for 2 seconds. And when you do, you'll see that the beak turns green. And for a couple of seconds, there were some LED lights. That is your battery operation. That'll tell you 4 green means it is fully charged. If you get down to 2 yellow, you might want to charge pretty soon. And 1 red LED says, please charge immediately. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off real quick and just show you what it looks like when you turn off. You'll see again the battery lights, but this time the beak will be a different color. So the beak is red, and now we know that the Finch is turned off. We'll also know the Finch is turned off because it's not flashing its unique name, and the LED light on the back of the microbit is off. All right, so let's power on.
And we'll be connecting in just a moment.
Yes. So you're seeing a couple of things. First off, you're seeing a VSW. That's one name. But then we also have an FN. There was an E, went a little too fast for me. Let's watch it again. FNE73F3. Perfect. So I'm going to write that on my Finch, and I'm going to go ahead and show us how to connect via Snap. So again, there are 6 different programming languages. We're going to show you Snap today. All right, so here we are at snap.birdbraintechnologies.com. And what we're going to do is we're going to click Find Robots. You'll see this box show up. Snap wants to compare to your device. The name FNE73F3 that I wrote on my Finch that is flashing on microbit is here. So when you have 20 Finches in a room, your students can turn on and find which one belongs to them and not accidentally pair to the one next to them or across the room. So let's go ahead and click our Finch and click Pair. Finch played a pretty little tone, and now Snap is open and ready for us to begin programming. So let's look real quick. If you have used Snap before, you can see that these look familiar, but where we're going to go is actually to the bottom. We're going to bring forward a Finch move and a Finch turn block. And maybe instead of turn right, let's turn. And then we're going to bring in a win flag clicked. All right, so let's watch our Finch. I'm going to set them up. Let's see, we're going to move forward and then turn left. Cameras are hard. There we go. And then I'm going to click my flag. You'll see this code light up. And Finch has executed the code.
Yay!
So you see how quick it was to get connected and to immediately start making Finch act. We'll get later into the sensing, but for now, it's fun to make Finch light up and move.
And when you're ready to start programming Finch, you do not have to do it all alone. I know it can feel really overwhelming. Jen just showed you how to connect and how to start moving with a Chromebook and with Snap. But let me take you to our learning portal where you can connect with any programming language and any device. So I'm going to click on this link to go to our learning portal. And here I get to choose which device it is that I'm using. Today, we're going to be working with a Chromebook, and then which language I'm using. Now, you'll notice some of these are grayed out. It's because I can't use bird blocks on a Chromebook. So you'll choose the device that you're working on. If I'm working on an iPad, I have different options. But today, like I said, we're on a Chromebook, and we're going to be working with Snap. So once I've selected both of those, I can scroll down to next. And now I am in the learning portal specifically for a Chromebook and the Snap programming language. I could go to the printables, I could go to the activities, but for now, I'm going to show you those programming tutorials so that when you get started programming, you know exactly where to go for help. So here I am in the learning portal for Snap and a Chromebook, and I have a table of contents here that tells me all of the different modules that I can look through. I don't have to go through every module every time I visit. In fact, I'm probably going to be looking for one or two specific things generally when I come to this page. So since Jen has already shown us how to connect, I don't really need that. I'm going to skip right to moving and turning. Jen, why don't we zoom in on this module and tell us a little bit about what we're going to find?
Yes. So in this module, you'll see that there are 6 different steps. Step 1 of every module is going to kind of show you a video of what is the Finch doing in action. So in the moving and turning, you're going to see Finch moving and turning in this video. Now, if we click step 2, you're actually going to see some sample code, making the Finch move with the move block. It also offers suggestions like, can you change forward to backward? Can you change the centimeters, the distance that the Finch will travel? How about the speed? So you and your students can look at this page together and say, okay, let's try it. What happens if we change 10 centimeters to 30 centimeters? And as you move on through the stages, you'll have more and more challenges that you can do. At the end, when your students are confident in their ability to make Finch move and turn, we offer sample projects in the last step of every module. So in step 6, you're going to see that we have drum shapes, mazes, and as I mentioned before, Finch jousting. Now that your students know how to make Finch move and turn, challenge them to our Finch jousting.
You can probably tell that Jen and I love the jousting activity. It's one of our favorites.
Absolutely. And it's it everywhere we go. I mean, who doesn't want to take a jousting stick and knock a ping pong ball off of it? I mean,
I know, right? It's so good. So hopefully you'll be spending quite a bit of time on this programming page as you learn about all of the different things that your Finch robot can do, all the way through those outputs, moving and turning, through moving multiple Finches, to the inputs, the sensor overview, all the way up to video control. And then when you're ready to really challenge yourself, there's a full going further section that'll take you through control structures, line tracking, randomness, variables, all sorts of different things. So not only can the Finch robot take you very far, but these programming tutorials can help you to get there. So we've connected our Finch and Snap. We have seen the Finch robot in action, and we're ready to move on to caring for our Finch?
Yes.
Okay, now that your Finch is on and it's ready to go, let's talk briefly about keeping it in good working order. Now, we're talking to you as robot users ourselves, but also as teachers and as tech support. We have really collected some tips and tricks on how to keep your Finch happy and healthy and how to make sure that it is working the best that it can for you for a long time. So, working with K through 6, I tell my students to work with Finch on the floor. When Finch is on the floor, there is no danger of it driving off of a table. It can survive driving off of a table. In fact, I have a video to show you of that a little bit later, but that doesn't mean it should have to. So that my students have the most space to move around and so that they're not worrying about navigating with that ledge, I tell my students, when Finch is driving, put it on the floor. Speaking of the floor, your Finch can drive on all different kinds of surfaces, but it will work best and it will be the most accurate with its measurements and its angles on a clean, hard floor like tile or wood. If you have a thick carpet in your classroom, you might consider buying an accessory for your Finch, like a Finch arena, an activity mat, or a new mat that we have, which is the math mat, filled with all sorts of different things that can make Finch in your math class even more exciting.
And Finch is designed specifically for classrooms with a battery that lasts 7+ hours. I've used the Finch for days and days, much longer than our promised 7 hours, but it is going to last for your students all day. I highly recommend at the end of the day that you plug all your Finches back into their little nest so that they are charged and ready overnight for whatever coding tomorrow brings.
In our classroom, we actually call the spot where the Finches charge the Finch's nest. And the kids are always so excited when we tell them to return their Finches to the nest. It has a little sign. When we're speaking of students and things that students do with the Finch, we have to talk about the marker holder. Treat the marker holder with care. This gasket inside can be damaged. We suggest using the markers that come with your Finch flock because they are the perfect fit. Other markers could get stuck, and trying to get them out could damage your Finch. Also, discourage fingers. Students are going to want to put their fingers in that marker slot, but the truth is that that's bad for the robot and that's bad for fingers. It's really for markers and for robotic attachments. When we're talking about Finch jousting and other activities with the Finch, that marker slot is a perfect spot for students to put robotic attachments. You just need to pay close attention to what fits and what doesn't. You don't want to force anything to damage that gasket or get anything stuck in there, just to keep your robot and your attachments and your students' fingers safe.
All right, your Finch is actually driven using 2 rotation servomotors, one for each wheel. And these rotation servomotors can be damaged if too much force is applied.
In our experience, students love to push the robot down and drive it forward like a car, especially before they understand how the Finch moves. You've probably seen a student do this with at least one robot. It's kind of fun, but it can damage the robot's motors. I like to talk preventatively about this to students before they even start with the Finch. So between the marker holder and the wheels and driving the Finch on the floor, it can make the robot sound a little bit delicate, but we promise that this is actually a very tough little bot. We're just giving you tips that can make it last as long as possible. Here's that video I promised of the Finch driving off of a table and surviving. I have to say, I love the bounce. Just bounces right back on.
The code still works.
And then here is the Finch being stepped on and continuing. We don't necessarily suggest that you do these things, but here's proof that it can withstand a lot. Okay, we have just given you a lot of information, so feel free to pause the video here to play with your Finch, to look at the things that we've explained, maybe to try out some of those programming tutorials by yourself. Just before we keep going, if you're feeling overloaded, please pause and get caught up, take a break, do whatever it is you need to do. Just like we've guided you through getting started here, our team is here to guide you as you start teaching as well. We believe that the best way to get hands-on, deep, and joyful learning experiences to all students is to support each and every teacher. And that's why all of the resources that we're about to show you on our website are carefully created for classrooms, for teachers, and they are available 100% for free. There is no paywall that they are hiding behind. They are free for you and they always will be. You can find everything you need on our website, ready to customize to fit your classroom.
So our first stop on our website is our Start Teaching page. So if you go to birdbraintechnologies.com, at the top, you can hover over Teach. There is a section for Finch Robot and then Start Teaching. So let's head there now. This is a great guide of everything that we've gone through. It's available anytime in case you forget or your students come up with a question that you don't know the answer to.
Which so they will.
Already shown you. Yes, they always do. So we've already shown you the introduction to your Finch flock. We've gone over the intro for your Finch. The second step is picking a programming language. So Finch can be programmed in 6 different programming languages. The second stop on our Start Teaching page has a software guidance video that will help you select the coding language that is right for both you and your students. Once you've picked a programming language, we can dive deeper in step 3. Step 3 is our free virtual PD videos. These videos will help you learn the basics of programming with Finch and how to teach with Finch. They're fun and flexible, and you can work through them anytime, anywhere. We recommend working through these videos with a group of like-minded teachers so you can explore together. But they're also great at home on your couch in your favorite pajamas.
I love working through them with other teachers because it feels like we're learning something new together. And it's really fun to put yourself in the shoes of your students. I find that when I learn like a student, I teach better as a teacher, if that makes any sense. I actually just worked my way through the SNAP professional development videos this week. I just wanted to remind myself of all the cool things the Finch could do. So I worked through it again, and I was reminded of how cool those videos are. Once you've worked through the professional development videos, you can explore the myriad other free resources available on our website. We've got lessons, we've got activities, and more. You can find helpful resources to introduce your students to the Finch, to guide them through their first robotic challenges, to extend to deeper thinking and to more advanced programming, and a lot of other things. In fact, why don't I show you our printables? We have a full section for Finch printables. And if I click, it will take me there. Lessons are not our only resources available. These printables are ready to download for use in your classroom. You can learn the basics with block descriptions for multiple languages. You can engage with social emotional learning with the Feelings with Finch activity, and there are many others. This section is always growing and changing as we make more resources, so check back often to see all of the different things that we can show you. Let's take a few extra moments to show some of our favorite Finch activities that we think that you'll love for your classroom. I know Jen really loves this one.
Yeah, so as I said, I'm a former math teacher, and I have a passion for mathematics and integrating computer science into that. So this drawing shapes that you're seeing is actually my creation of how to draw shapes with Finch across all grade levels. And what you're seeing here is actually the second page of this document. The first page goes through A5. But this time we're going to go through the 6 all the way up to high school and college. So as you can see, these activities were created using Common Core standards, and they provide the sample code for you in Snap and Python. After your students have a blast learning how to draw shapes, consider using these shapes to create Mondrian-inspired art.
Let's show you what that looks like. So cool!
Yeah! All the wonderful shapes and all the wonderful practices can be turned into something beautiful. So again, this integration and these connections can scale across lots of different curriculum.
It's really easy to integrate Finch into math class, but don't worry, that is not the only class where it belongs. Jen connects really well with math, but as a former librarian, I love any tool that deepens literacy connections, and the Finch is perfect for that. In one example of an English language arts or reading language arts integration, students can turn Finch into a character that can interact with a setting that they create. It can move through the conflict and resolution of the story as a concrete example, or it can even interact with other characters like this character here, which hopefully you recognize. Well, unless you don't teach someone who reads picture books. That is the pigeon from Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. I think of the Finch like an interactive living book report or character analysis. The possibilities are endless. And if I click on this link here, you can see that activity we call Finch Tales is not only does it have a video example, but it also has a lesson plan so that you can turn that into something that beginners can work with, intermediate students, or students who are advanced and want more of a challenge. It's all here in the Finch Tales project.
All right, so Finch is actually a natural fit for the science curriculum as well. So one example is our animal adaptations activity. In this activity, students will imagine Finch as an animal, and they will write a program to show how its adaptations affect how the animal in the animal's natural habitat. Many of our activities can be scaffolded to fit your students' individual needs. As Sarah showed in Finch Tales, there is also a beginner, intermediate, and advanced section for this activity. This same activity can be used in all of your classes with all your students, where students can be working on different levels of where they are ready. Great for that differentiation component. Now, another math topic, of course, data science or analyzing data. So as we talked about before, Finch has sensors that can be used to generate information. That information can be stored as data points. We put the data points in a list, and we can use that list to calculate things such as maximum, minimum, mean. You can tie this to your math curriculum, or you can use it in a science standpoint.
Here's just one more example of academic integration. If you're looking to integrate Finch into your music or drama class, it has all the tools and inputs and outputs that you need in order to make that happen. Throwing a Finch dance party or performance can integrate effortlessly into those music or drama classes, or other classes, actually. If you create a synchronized Finch dance, like the one I'm about to show you, please post and tag us because we love seeing these videos. Having your students program Finch to dance and sing is one thing, but once you challenge them to get a synchronized flock going, oh man, it is the engagement is really off the charts.
The Finch can actually be incorporated even into your language classes in a variety of different ways. To share just one of our activities, since we've been using Snap, take a look at Snap's ability to change the language your students program in. On the left, we have Spanish, and on the right, we have German. You can see that the Finch blocks have changed to reflect what that is in that language. So your students can learn that programming. They're learning two languages. They're learning the Snap programming language and the language in your world language class.
Well, just imagine the understanding and the mastery that they have to think about the commands that they want the Finch to carry out and then translate them to another language. Their understanding of programming and of that other language has to be really strong in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
It's a really fun, engaging activity. I kind of want to try programming in another language now. This is just a small sample of the unbelievable number of integration possibilities with the Finch robot. The possibilities truly are endless. You can dive deeper into more examples with this robot open house slideshow. Let me show you a little bit of it. If we go through this slideshow, you'll see that it takes you through a day's schedule, almost like you're going to a day of school. So starting in homeroom and getting to know each other, then we can go to math class with multiple examples, world language class, reading language arts, music and drama, science, takes you through the whole school day. So spend some time with this slideshow so that you can really see the way the Finch can carry you all the way through your school day and increase student engagement and get them programming and working with computer science in all of your classes. Whew. It's a lot of information there. We hope that you're not feeling too overwhelmed.
Right. And this video, of course, will be available for you to come back and review anytime. So are our resources on our website. And we're always here to help. As a tech support, feel free to reach out anytime, and I can support you and your students as you program and code your Finch robot.
And I run our online communities. So if you find yourself with a question that you think can be answered really quickly or with something cool that you want to share, please join us on social media. It'll be me talking to you and connect with other teachers around the world in how you're using the Finch or in answering a question that you might have. Before we wrap up today, Jen, do you have any parting words for our educators as they get started with the Finch robot?
Yes. My biggest thing is get hands-on with the Finch. Your students aren't the only one who should be playing with Finch. No one buys a new phone and first opens the big manual and reads it. You turn it on, you start playing with it. That's what you should do with Finch. Don't be afraid to learn with your students. They're going to ask questions that you might not know the answer to. Explore together. Reach out to me if that fails. We're here to help. Remember that the problem-solving aspect, that looking at the Finch is not doing what I need it to do, is where the learning happens. Don't be afraid of those mistakes, those moments of challenge. That's where the true magic happens. What about you, Sarah? What kind of parting words do you have for our teachers today?
I want to tell our teachers, be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Just like it takes a little while to learn to swim or to ride a bike, it also takes some time not only to program and to work with robotics, but to learn how to teach with robotics. It's a totally new form of pedagogy. It'll never be perfect, your lesson or your student's code, and that's by design. You'll learn and grow as you go and get stronger and more confident as your students do. If you're feeling a little uneasy and you're making mistakes, that probably means that you're doing it right. That's what computer science and robotics is all about. You have already done the hardest part by making the decision to start and by making it this far into the video. So the rest should be fun. Before we go, we do have a few more resources to share with you. I know. On this last slide, you'll find some resources linked that we think that you'll love and that will be helpful along the way for you, including our computer science reading list, the Birdhouse blog, which is updated often with new interviews with teachers, lessons and activities that you might like, themed or seasonal activities, or just new resources that we want you to know about. Here you can get to the Flocking Amazing podcast, which is our podcast where we talk to teachers about their experiences with computer science, creative robotics. They give lots of great advice, provide inspiration, and it's a great way to feel connected to the larger teacher network. It's easy to lose track of that when you're in your classroom. And so I love these just 20 to 25-minute podcasts that make us feel connected with other teachers. And then finally, tons of information on grant assistance, from finding grants that can pay for things that you're looking for to your classroom, all the way through to guidance in order to get those grants, to fill out the paperwork, and to get the resources that you need. And our final slide will take you to the link to our Facebook educators community, which is a vibrant group of more than 400 educators from around the world that are sharing ideas, providing feedback, and connecting over this shared love of deep and joyful learning. This group is active, and it is active every day. So it is the perfect place to ask questions, to make connections, to share ideas, and to spark inspiration. I hope that you will head there and join us. Whew. Thank you so much for joining us for this introduction and this overview to the Finch Robot 2.0.
From all of us on the Birdbrain team, we're so glad you're here and can't wait to see what you create. And we're always here to help.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Sarah. Happy coding, guys.